Hi, I'm Jack Kenny. I'm the executive producer and showrunner of Warehouse 13. Welcome to the Warehouse. Warehouse 13 is a thriller-romedy. I think we're one of the first of our kind.
I guess it has a little bit of everything for everyone.
The biggest difference between seasons 1 and seasons 2 is season 2 is just bigger and bolder.
Bigger, better, faster, and funnier this year. And that's a deadly cocktail, my friends.
We have such an exciting season planned. We're off shooting an action-adventure film every week.
First of all, there's only one season 2 in anybody's lifetime. But you only get one season 2 when you found out that season 1 was the biggest hit in the history of the network.
#1 show in the history of the Syfy channel.
In the season 2, we get into some of the history of our warehouse forefathers and find out how those mysteries affect us today.
You really can explore anything that's ever happened in all of history.
We discover a lot of new parts of the warehouse in season 2.
This year you'll see that it has a vastness to it. It goes deep under this mountain.
We find the Escher Vault.
Okay, this is amazing.
The storage area, the computer lab, a lot more artifacts, crazier artifacts.
This is an artifact. It cools you down.
There's new artifacts. We go to different places all around the world.
The strength of the writing and the strength of the arc through the whole season is exceptional.
Time machine set us on fire! The time machine set us on fire!
Pete, it's okay, look.
I think the writers have taken chances. They've stretched the storylines imaginatively and fantastically to new, dizzying heights. We have a new villain in season 2 that will be very surprising and very controversial.
We've got relationships for all the characters. They're forming outside relationships.
Hey.
Got a sec?
We've got all kinds of mysteries and secrets up our sleeves to hand you guys this year.
Does that include comic books?
We've got a comic book episode, and it's a sort of a superhero deal. We've got an episode where Myka has to go undercover as a fashion model.
There's also a crossover between Warehouse and Eureka this season. Neil Grayston came over to Warehouse to play with us, and I went over to Eureka to play with them, and it was super fun.
And also, like I say, we're exploring their outside lives. We're exploring, you know, what do they do when they're not hunting for artifacts? Who do they date? How do they feel?
You'll find out that Artie can fall in love. You'll find out a little bit more about his past and how Artie became Artie Nielsen and how he betrayed the U.S. government and why.
And action!
Alexander is a creature of habit. If he's not here now, then he will be soon.
I think last year our theme for the show was that we were, is this the place where they belong?
No.
Is this their home? Is this a job they can do?
Yes!
He's on the roof.
Son of a bitch.
This year is about how much they care about each other, what's at stake every time they go out.
Grenade!
I think this year is about forming a family.
Pete, it's just a croquet ball.
That they form a chosen family.
Hey, ball. Oh, Lord, if there's another one. Get down.
That they really do have an innate love for each other.
Has everyone here gone completely insane?
Down!
There's a lot of really cool stuff coming down the pipe.
What's up? My name is Allison Scagliotti, and I play Claudia Donovan on Warehouse 13. Warehouse 13 is a top-secret government institution that houses mysterious and unexplained artifacts from all over the world. We suggest that certain fantastical items from history or from science or from literature or music actually had some kind of paranormal ability.
Warehouse 13 is the 13th warehouse in a series of warehouses over the centuries that have housed these artifacts. They just keep getting transferred, and they get taken to whatever empire is the strongest in the world, and that's because it's the best opportunity to protect them.
It's manned by Secret Service agents, Pete Lattimer and Myka Bering, and run by Artie Nielsen, and our junior tech whiz, Claudia Donovan.
The idea is that in the wrong hands, these artifacts can be a threat to national security, so they have to be cataloged.
So what if we deactivate everything?
Claudia, I can either run or lecture. I cannot do both.
This is running?
Wait.
What you add into the mix is that it's not on Elm Street. It's in a very dangerous place that has powers beyond our understanding.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah.
I guess the idea from Warehouse 13 is sort of a, it's sort of a melange of a lot of different things throughout history. I mean, there's a little bit of the idea of the Library of Alexandria. There's a little bit of the idea of Area 51, sort of famous repositories throughout history.
The mythology is meticulously explored, and in the season 2, we get into some of the history.
So throughout time, since Alexander the Great, who started the first warehouse, the warehouse has moved from empire to empire.
Warehouse 2 was in Egypt.
12th warehouse was the British Empire.
So the warehouse being from all these different times and places has also brought new elements into the current warehouse. Like for episode 11, we're building an ancient archive room that has papyrus and stone tablets and things that were kept from ancient times that have been stored in various warehouse areas. There's an area that just has spears that were collected over the years.
There's a bronze section in the warehouse.
Bronzing is a method of preserving individuals who had the potential to be as dangerous as your Hitler.
Or Mussolini, or Joan Rivers.
The bodies are cryogenically flash freeze.
They basically are putting them in their own cell of their mind because they're still conscious while they're bronze.
We find the storage area, the computer lab. So I think in this season, the warehouse is going to get a little bit bigger.
It just allows us to deepen the mythology of the warehouse.
The depth of their research allows them the freedom to make fun of it. At the same time as we're this heavily researched, at the same time as we're so anti-procedural that every episode is different from every other episode, we have the freedom and the confidence to make light of ourselves.
Stay on! Stay on!
Artie!
No, I'm okay. No, I was choking. It's dust or something.
You're okay.
And there's all kinds of places we can go and things we can do with the show, and explore history in a modern framework.
Hi guys, I'm Eddie McClintock. I play Agent Pete Lattimer on Syfy's Warehouse 13. You're not my superior.
Dickinson gave this to me. I'm running it.
Myka.
Myka.
Myka?
Myka.
Myka.
Mm-hmm.
Pete and Myka have a really unique partnership. I think the tendency on these types of shows is to do a bit of a Sam and Diane, a moonlighting type thing.
Like any show with a male-female lead, you were going to think, oh, will they or won't they? Are they gonna or not? And because we've seen that 1,000 times, it felt more interesting to us to examine the brother-sister aspect of their relationship.
I have always likened myself to her little brother who's constantly pulling on her pigtails, and she's constantly punching me in the arm.
I'm here.
As you already know, Pete tends to be, he lives in a state of arrested development.
Oh, my character, she's very structured, very serious, very matter of fact.
The tension between Myka's by-the-book way of doing things and Pete's intuitive, sort of jokey way of doing things allows them to meet halfway.
They're just like that in life. They're absolute opposites. Eddie and Joe couldn't be more different as human beings.
Joanne Kelly, who is oil to Eddie's water, so their chemistry clashes in a very interesting way. And the writers have exploited our family dynamic.
The Iron Shadow.
Yeah, only the most awesomest character of the Silver Age. You grew up in a bookstore. How do you not know that?
Real books, not cartoons.
Yeah, comic books.
Their tension ultimately leads to a lot of hijinks, to a lot of hilarity, mostly because Eddie McClintock behaves like a puppy.
Edward Prendick. I bet junior high was fun for him, huh?
He's very instinctual, kind of plays very loosely.
There's a new sheriff in town. Reggie Hammond, y'all be cool.
He is the consummate 14-year-old kid in a 28-year-old man's body. 28. Don't forget it. 2 and an 8.
Shotskis!
They're a perfect team because, not just because they're opposites, but because they're opposites who complement each other. You know, they're not just always going like this.
Even though our relationship as characters to one another has grown closer, I think Pete and Myka, they care a lot about each other. They have a mutual respect for one another.
I think that Pete is an older brother to her when she needs somebody, and she's an older sister to him when he needs someone.
It's Ophelia, okay? Like from Hamlet. Yes, Ophelia, let the mocking commence.
Ophelia? That's kind of beautiful. Can Ophelia boobies? Oh, snap!
It felt more interesting to us to examine the brother-sister aspect of their relationship, because frankly, that can go a lot farther. They have opinions on everything about the other one, and it's just kind of, you know, it's just kind of more fun to examine that. I'm not saying they won't someday end up a couple. I don't know. It's only season 2, but right now I really like exploring that aspect of them.
Well, come, lowly, roustabout.
Yes, my darling, and all that.
Hi, I'm Saul Rubinek, Artie Nielsen, and welcome to Warehouse 13.
As far as my own thoughts and belief on the supernatural, I don't know how much of there is in the real world.
I like to say I'm a skeptic with an open mind.
I don't really believe in anything, which, you know, some would say, boy, you gonna burn in hell for that one.
If there is another state of consciousness or an afterlife, I think that, ghosts and people who have passed away have probably got better things to do with their times, really.
I absolutely believe that we're not in control of everything that we have wrought, and that there are powers that we have not yet even begun to chain.
What I believe is that, if scientifically no energy is either created or destroyed, that where does human energy go?
Don't look at it, Myka.
I think we all feel that objects have been imbued by circumstance or by our own imaginations with power. And they have as much power sometimes as we give them, and maybe they have powers of their own, but it's the premise of our show.
I think what everybody can agree upon, whether you believe in the supernatural or not, is the idea of wish fulfillment. And I think some of the best artifacts work where it really is fulfilling a wish.
It doesn't require anything but a suspension of disbelief.
I mean, there's no such thing.
Myka, in this job, there's no such thing as no such thing. We just met the female H.G. Wells, for crying out loud.
Good point.
But in order to believe that anything's possible, you have to have magicians at work to keep the logic alive, because the audience is very ready to go with you until you drop the ball, either in design, directing, acting, cinematography, or writing. If the ball gets dropped, they go, well, I don't believe that. The truth is, an audience will go with you to Treasure Island. They'll come and they'll be cabin boys with you. They'll go to the moon with Jules Verne. They'll go to the island where people are lost. They'll believe anything crafted with commitment, beauty, and heart.
The writing staff make it possible for you to suspend your disbelief for long enough to believe that this stuff is true. And they do that by sprinkling in some fact along with their fiction. So I think it's a nice little blend.
This absorbs all forms of kinetic energy. A soldier takes 100 rounds to the chest per second and doesn't break stride. Thinner than Kevlar, way more resilient.
So it plays on people's belief that the world around them has more in it than is in their philosophy. In terms of mysticism, in terms of magic, and certainly in terms of supernatural. So that's what we play with.
Okay, just put him down nice and slow.
The fun of playing Artie is that he's a deeply skeptical person who probably doesn't believe in life after death and certainly doesn't believe in magic. He believes in the power of what he's seen. He knows it's called magic because we don't understand it yet.
There's a lot of things that we don't fully understand, and we think we do. I think that there's energetic things and energy-wise things that we don't understand. For example, you know, radio waves. You know, before you knew what a radio wave was, and there was nothing picking up radio waves. You wouldn't have known what a radio wave is.
If you brought an iPod to Jefferson, what would he call it?
Hi, I'm Mark Stern. I'm head of original programming for Syfy. Welcome to season 2 of Warehouse 13.
Turn it around. Okay, camera's turning around.
I think, like all things, the artifacts that we're dealing with have a great metaphor. I think we all feel that objects have been imbued by circumstance or by our own imaginations with power.
Let's see if this works or if it kills me, shall we?
We rarely approach a story with an artifact first. We usually approach a story with what's a cool area to go into? What are our characters going through emotionally right now that might take us to an artifact? And then we develop it that way. It's kind of going backwards.
You know, sometimes we will have the notion of an artifact. You know, we just think like, wow, that would be really cool. Other times it really starts with just like, you know, where do we want to see our characters emotionally? And then, you know, which artifact is the best idea that we have to put them through those emotional paces.
You want an artifact that in some way was either created out of something that was very emotional or creates or affects people in an emotional way.
I think when you focus more on character, you know, the artifacts tend to be MacGuffins, you know, and very much in the Hitchcock sense, that, you know, whatever is blowing up, turning people to glass, you know, melting people, shrinking them, it's not really as relevant as, you know, what's actually happening to our people.
So many artifacts I'd like to see. It might be cool to have Marilyn Monroe's red lipstick. Let your imagination run wild.
The Janis Joplin backstage pass from Woodstock. The holder of that pass can travel through time to any concert that's ever been.
To me, the best artifacts are the ones that just have a little bit of truth about them. You know, wouldn't it have been cool if so-and-so got their success or their failures because of something they had that was an artifact?
I love the simplicity of the Phoenix.
Those who touch the Phoenix, they will be spared.
Because it's just a small thing with such incredible powers.
In season 1, my favorite artifact was Edgar Allan Poe's pen, because I really like the idea that anything you write with it actually materializes. So I could write the lease to a beautiful condo in Manhattan, or sketch a perfect European boyfriend, or write out a multi-million-dollar movie contract, which would be awesome. I'd like to do all those things.
I really loved the Lewis Carroll mirror. It was a beautiful idea that a psychotic and insane Alice Liddell was trapped in there and got out.
The most beautiful artifact that's ever been built by our art department, our props department, it was an antique compass. It was Rheticus's compass. And they built, out of copper and brass, this beautiful opening, spinning, turning compass. And it was magnificent. It looked like an antique. It was so beautifully made.
The other one that I personally would love is the time machine. It enables you to inhabit the mind and body of somebody who lived centuries ago. So as an actor, the thought of living for a day as Marie Antoinette, or, you know, Casanova's lover, or you know, at any point in history, even going back to the 60s or the 70s, you know, it would be very exciting.
The artifacts are as much cast members as we are. I mean, I think it's just sort of a great callback to, you know, the people that these artifacts are tied to, and the eras that they came from.